My fate is sealed. I have no choice.
I love the voice acting. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the bonus episode for Let's Play Megaman X4. No, we're not going to be rewatching the general fight as it plays out mostly the same as it does with X. I just didn't want to start us off with a cutscene. So with that said, let's jump into Zero's first significant cutscene that we're going to see in the bonus episode.
Colonel! What? I'm disappointed in you, Colonel. Ah! What do you think you're doing? It's not too late. Stop the Coop now. Never. If that's your decision, prepare yourself!
Stop, please! Brother, please! Don't you remember? Zero saved my life.
Oh. Very well then. I'll spare your life for now. But next time, there'll be no mercy.
Zero, please, don't fight with my brother. If you do, I'm afraid that one of you may end up...
Someone must stop Repliforce.
Zero!
That cutscene plays in place of what would normally be Zero's first fight against the Colonel. X gets a first fight against the Colonel. Zero just gets that cutscene where we begin to see the hilarity of Zero's voice acting in full force. It doesn't get really good, though, until after the fight that's coming up. Also, Iris back there. I swear I recognize her voice. She had to have been one of the voices in House of the Dead 2. I even know the exact one that she must have been. She had to have been the character going, "Wait, don't go." You know, X kind of has that quality to his voice too. I wonder if Iris and X have the same voice actor in this game. Because they both sound like the character in House of the Dead 2 that goes, "Wait, don't go." So this bonus episode is going to feel a little bit jumpy, a little bit disjointed, because I don't want to just retread the same ground as the X playthrough, and that's largely what this is going to be aside from alternate cutscenes and this single alternate boss fight against Iris. But I do want to show off how Zero plays, so I'm going to do that the best way I know how, which aside from doing this fight, is showing off the 8 main bosses in the boss rush stage right before Sigma, so I can show off Zero's complete moveset, all of the abilities he gets from the bosses, and of course this fight. I'm also going to show off the fight against Sigma's final form, just because I want to demonstrate the extreme difference in Zero's damage output as compared to X's. But yeah, for the most part, all this bonus episode is really going to be is showing off Zero and Zero's hilarious, terribly voice-acted cutscenes. Really not going to be showing off the stages, because the stages don't differ at all when you're playing as Zero. It's just, like, the way certain enemies are laid out, it feels more designed for Zero, and Zero's abilities that he acquires throughout the game. The 100% doesn't differ at all, except there are less things to do, which is kind of disappointing. But I'll shut up about that for just a minute, because the best part of the whole game is coming up. The cutscene is almost here. Oh, I can't wait.
Iris!
Zero,
Hang in there, Iris.
please, stay away from Repliforce. Let's live together in a world where only Reploids exist.
Iris, there's no world just for Reploid. It's only a fantasy.
Yes, I know, but I wanted to believe it. I wanted to live in a world where only Reploids exist with you.
Iris! 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 Iris. Iris! Ah! No, this isn't happening! There's no reason for me to go on. What? What am I fighting for?
Just legendary. Perfect. I love it. So we've jumped ahead to the 8 main Mavericks to show off Zero's moveset a little bit, his playstyle, his special abilities. Zero is kind of interesting in that not all of his special abilities that he gains from bosses, not all of those abilities are necessarily new moves. And I guess I'll pick up with my thoughts from the end of the Iris fight. I was saying that it was a little disappointing Zero doesn't have a complete 100%. Zero has his own suite of problems. I know I've spent a lot of time criticizing the X games. Got a little bit more criticism to layer on top of that. So Zero has his own problems. Even though the stages kind of feel designed for Zero, the 100% does not. That, and he doesn't have weaknesses for all the bosses, which that's a little bit odd. So as for the 100%, I was gonna say before the legendary cutscene cut me off. So all of the heart containers are there. They're in the same locations as they are for X. You acquire them in the exact same ways. All the sub-tanks are there. What's not there, though, are the armor capsules. And this ties into the next point about how Zero feels oddly designed. I mentioned that Zero doesn't have weaknesses for all the bosses. And the reason for that is because he gets certain movesets that you would normally expect to acquire in an armor capsule as a reward for beating certain bosses. Like, for instance, I'm trying to think of them. I'm really bad at remembering the names of Zero's moves because they're not translated. What's it called? The one from Stormout, Tenkua. You get that from Stormout, and it allows Zero to do things like cut enemy projectiles. You get the double jump from Split Mushroom. You get... Wait, is that... Yeah, the double jump and... Oh man, I'm questioning myself now. You get the double jump, the spinning slash in the air. You get both of those from a boss. You get the air dash from Jet Stingray, I believe. And all these abilities I'm describing sound like the types of things you would normally get in upgrade capsules, but Zero doesn't have the upgrade capsules. So instead, Zero doesn't get boss weaknesses for some bosses. But then, at the same time, his damage output is so much higher than X's, it feels like all of his attacks are kind of weaknesses, so makes up for it a little bit. The design of it just, like a lot of my issues with X4, certain elements of the design just feel sloppy. But that's enough of me complaining, though, because I actually like playing as Zero in this way more than I do as X, and that's for reasons aside from just how the game feels designed for Zero more, at least. He rewards aggression to the point where you can be straight up reckless as Zero sometimes. If you know when you can afford to be reckless. It's really a lot of fun to play as him. And just like the idea of forcing you into melee range to attack makes for this interesting dynamic, because Zero by default has to be more mobile compared to X. And his moves are also, you perform them a little bit differently than you do with X's special moves. Because Zero's moves use inputs rather than switching between weapons and hitting the fire button. And they're not complicated inputs either, like needing a Dragon Punch motion for the uppercut or anything, but it's just a change of pace. Like this attack, the rising flaming uppercut is up plus triangle. The move you saw against Stormout Rakoa is the same as X's Giga attack. It's the only one that uses weapon energy. The lightning stab, I think, is triangle when at a standstill. He has a special dash move aside from his normal attacks that you can cancel a dash from. He has a special dash attack called... What's it? Oh man, what is it? I can't remember the name of it. Like I said, I'm even worse with Zero's special move names than I am with X's because Zero's move names are all in Japanese. They were not translated. He has that special dash attack I was talking about, which is triangle out of a dash. You'll see it used on Sigma's final form. This ice attack, which is Stingray's weakness. He's down plus triangle when you're in the air. It's a nice little stab down. It looks so cool too. It's fun to use. It's fun to use Zero, that's what I'm talking about. Plus, he gets that sweet double jump and that unbelievably good spinning attack in the air. That's like, the utility of that alone is just so good. And then, it's powerful to boot. It's called, I remember the name of that, Kuenbu. Kuenbu, Rikoa, and what was the Storm Owl attack that I was just talking about? It was, I was just talking about it. It was called, Tenkua. Oh, also, while there are no armor capsules for Zero, I was trying to, when I recorded this, I was trying to end this fight with a little bit of style, because when Stingray comes up from underground, if you time it right, you can get a gigantic spear of ice to land right on his head, and it always just looks brutal. I love ending the fight like that. I actually did the same thing against him as X, come to think of it, using the Frost Shield. Is it called the Frost Shield? No, that's Blizzard Buffaloes. Whatever. I just love when he charges headfirst into it. Looks so brutal. So I was saying, even though Zero does not have his own armor upgrades, he does have an alternate armor. It's just that Zero's alternate armor, unlike X's, which provides utility and upgrades, is just cosmetic. And to access that armor, it's not anything that you do in-game, like you don't find anything in-game. It's actually a little bit of a cheat in this game. It's a cheat for a cosmetic item. So, when you're at the character select screen, and you're hovering over Zero, you input R1, and then you hit right on the D-pad 6 times, and I think X or circle after that, and then start, and you will start the game up as a Zero wearing completely black armor. Oh, also, some fun little trivia about Zero. He was originally going to be X in the X series, but he looked so different from Megaman that Inafune made him a secondary character and made a new X design that looked a little bit closer to vanilla Megaman. And then after Zero was created, Niitsuma kind of fell in love with the character a little bit, with the design of the character. And from my understanding, it's largely why Zero was in Marvel vs. Capcom 3 over X or any other Mega Man variation. Because Niitsuma loves him some Zero. Inafune, if I remember correctly, is also pretty protective over Zero's design. And this fight, this Slash Beast fight, is the perfect example of what I mean when I say you can afford to be more reckless as Zero, and you all know by now I love when I can be reckless. I can just trade hits and take damage and overwhelm. And coming up here, we're going to have some dialogue with Sigma. It's mostly the same as X's, but instead of jumping straight into the fight, Zero gets this really important flashback cutscene.
What's our current situation?
Commander!
Where's that red Maverick that wiped out Garma's unit?
Inside. He's inside that door.
You may leave now. I'll take care of this personally.
By yourself, Commander?
I don't want any more of my people being sacrificed.
Look, it's Commander Sigma. Incredible. Now I'm certain there's no one who's a match for the commander. What?
Take that red Maverick to the repair center and call Dr. Kane. I wish to have that Maverick studied.
Commander, are you okay?
Silence! Terror, you are finished.
I actually genuinely enjoy that cutscene, unlike most of the ones in the game, which I enjoy for the hilarity factor. I really like that cutscene, even though it still has Sigma's goofy Voltron villain voice, but his voice actor is at least a league better than X, Cyrus, and Zero's. And Zero doesn't get to talk at all in it, which that also helps. And then it also establishes some backstory for Sigma that really wasn't fleshed out except in the manuals for the games prior to that. It shows him in a really pivotal moment, and it shows that even when he was a good guy, he was still kind of a chump who got outclassed really easily. And then it also sets in stone something that up until now was foreshadowed really heavily, which, as indicated by that big W insignia on his helmet, Zero was created by Wily. And I'm pretty sure I spoiled that back in X2 when I was talking about Surges possibly being Wily, because the person who built Zero would best know how to put them back together. Remember the X-Hunters were gathering Zero's parts in X2 to rebuild him? Well, yeah. Zero was the creation of Dr. Wily in the last cutscene that's coming up pretty shortly, actually, because this fight goes so much quicker as Zero. More on that in a moment. The last cutscene is going to spell that out even more clearly. Plus, Evil Zero is pretty cool. I really like that cutscene. The one cutscene in the game that really stands out to me as being pretty decent. For now, though, I wanted to end the episode showing the fight against Sigma's final form again, except this time as Zero, because I think it's a really perfect demonstration of just how much more powerful Zero is compared to X in this game. And this is without any form of like weakness or anything, which I don't think the final form of Sigma even has a weakness. So the fight, when I did this fight as X, the fight took about 4.5 to 5 minutes. This fight clocked in at almost exactly 2. So yeah, Zero's, in most circumstances, for most of the boss fights in this game, better than X. There are a couple rare exceptions, but again, they're exceptions, not the rule. Anyway, though, we are coming up on the closing cutscene, so I'll just end the video after that fades to black. Before I do that, and before we cut away, it's been a blast doing X4. Criticized it a little bit harshly. I like the game more than I let on, put it that way. It's just, when you're coming off of X1 through 3, in the grand scheme of things, the relatively minor flaws of 4 stand out a lot more. But that's it for X4. I'm looking forward to doing X5 and especially X6. The ending cutscene for Zero is coming up, so I'll leave you with that. Thanks for watching, everyone. Take it easy. Have a good one.
So, this is what happened to me. This is my fate. I couldn't save anyone after all. Iris!
Please stop, brother! Zero.
Iris, did we Reploids all turn out to be Mavericks after all?